Las artistas que hoy nos ofrecen su trabajo exploran dos aspectos paradigmáticos de lo femenino, su sacralidad y su poder de sanación, ambos confluyendo en la resiliencia y la reafirmación. En primera instancia, Begoña Bertrán, joven pintora enfocada en la pintura y dibujo humanista. Por su parte, Kate Van Doren, artista estadounidense radicada en San Miguel de Allende, ha explorado de manera efectiva y más allá de la expresión visual, el poder sanador de la palabra y el arte. Arteterapeuta certificada, crea y dirige el proyecto Healing Words Project desde febrero de 2020, una iniciativa internacional de artes creativas y arteterapia que ha contado con la participación de más de 2,000 mujeres y voces de género expansivo en todo el mundo. Su trabajo, que reúne arte y sanación, tiene bases científicas sólidas, pues está basado en la neurociencia y la psicología positiva. Van Doren utiliza la pintura, fototerapia, la escritura creativa y la creación artística colaborativa para promover la sanación y la recuperación narrativa tras un trauma. A todo ello se suma su admirable capacidad de síntesis, que la ha llevado no solo a cumplir ese noble fin de sanar a través del arte y la palabra, sino a conformar una propuesta visual sólida, consistente y poseedora de un lenguaje estético, artístico y conceptual profundo y de alta calidad. Es decir, que su obra no solo encuentra su sostén en el humanismo, la empatía y la conciencia de los poderes femeninos, sino también en un honesto ejercicio artístico pleno de oficio y expresión. I would like to take a moment to sincerely thank each and every one of you for being here tonight, especially those who traveled from other cities and countries like San Miguel, Oregon, San Francisco, Mexico City, and other places afar. Your presence means so much, not only to us and the artists, but to everyone who has worked hard to bring both exhibitions to life. This has been an incredible journey. Art has the power to connect, to inspire, and to create meaningful experiences. We hope that today you feel that connection. I'd also like to extend my gratitude and recognition to every woman involved in the making of the artwork for these exhibitions. Your dedication and contribution has been invaluable. And of course, our beloved artists honored here tonight. Our heartfelt thanks to the commitment, passion, and effort for helping us share art in a meaningful way. Bienvenidos siempre al Museo de Arte de Querétaro. Muchas gracias.
Good evening, everyone. First, let me thank the Director General of this beautiful museum, the Secretary of Culture, and everybody who made this night possible. It is a privilege for me to be here tonight to be part of this extraordinary exhibition. It is also an honor for me to introduce an artist, Kate Van Doren, whose vision reminds us of something essential, that art is not simply beauty and not simply expression. It is courage. The Healing Words Project is more than an artistic initiative. It is a space where stories are not only told but protected, where voices that have been silenced, displaced, or overlooked are given a place to breathe, to be heard, and to transform pain into creation. Kate understands something powerful, that words can heal, but they can also build bridges between people who might otherwise never meet. Through this project, artists, writers, and storytellers from Palestine, Sudan, Iran, refugee communities, and indigenous communities here in this beautiful country that we are so honored to live in, have been invited to transform their lived experiences into art. Art that speaks not only of suffering, but of resilience, dignity, and hope. What makes this project even more extraordinary is that it does not stop at storytelling. Each artist participating chooses an organization that their artwork supports, transforming creativity into tangible solidarity. It becomes not only an act of expression, but an act of care. A reminder that art can nourish communities just as much as it nourishes the soul. As a Palestinian, this resonates deeply with me. I was born Palestinian, and from the very beginning, I understood that identity can be both inheritance and instruction. To be Palestinian is not simply to belong to a people, but to carry memory in the body and responsibility in the heart. For my people, art has always been more than creativity. It is memory, it is resistance, it is survival. When a culture is threatened, what is often targeted first is its story, the narrative. But art refuses disappearance. It preserves language, rhythm, movement, and memory. It reminds the world that people exist and that their humanity cannot be erased. In Arabic, we have a word that captures the spirit of resilience. It is called samud. It means steadfastness, the quiet strength of remaining rooted even when everything around you tries to uproot you. For Palestinians, samud lives in our poetry, our music, our dance, our olive trees, and in the stories we continue to tell our children. For me, healing was never stepping away from struggle or pain. It has meant learning how to carry this pain without allowing it to hollow me out. Learning how to remain human in the face of dehumanization. And I believe this exactly is what this project like this does. It reminds us that healing is not forgetting. Healing is remembering together while continuing to move forward. They remind us that art can transform grief into solidarity and silence into voice. And perhaps more importantly, they remind us that creativity can be one of the most powerful forms of love. Not love as sentiment, but love as resistance. The refusal to become numb, the refusal to abandon compassion, the refusal to accept that injustice is something normal. The Healing Words Project plants something deeply necessary in our world today. More than ever, we need these types of projects today. It plants humanity. And when humanity is planted with care, it grows in communities, in movements, in the hearts of those who choose to listen. When we recorded this interview for this project, for me, it was during a time of deep pain because the genocide, which is still continuing in Palestine, was taking place. And Kate asked me a lot of questions that were really very hard to answer, but they were also very, very liberating. Because for a moment, I was given the space to speak simply as myself and not as a representative of a people who were facing extermination. And I really want to thank you, Katie, for creating that space, a space that reflects, where reflection becomes healing and where stories can be shared with honesty and dignity. And for that, I will always be grateful. Because in a world that so often tries to silence pain, projects like this remind us that words can still heal, art can still connect us, and humanity can still prevail. And with that said, it is my great honor to introduce our great friend, brilliant, amazing artist and creator, one with the biggest heart I have ever to see, our lovely friend, Kate Van Doren. Thank you.
Standing in this space tonight feels deeply emotional for me. Because this exhibition is not just a presentation of artwork, it is a gathering of voices. Every image in this exhibition carries a person, a story, and a moment of courage. This artwork has never belonged just to me. It belongs to the people who trusted me enough to stand in front of the camera and speak their truth. The Healing Words Project began in Mexico in 2020 during Un Día Sin Mujeres, a national day of protest responding to the crisis of gender-based violence. I originally offered photography as a form of art-based activism. Women wrote words on their bodies as acts of visibility, solidarity, and resistance. But very quickly, something unexpected and very beautiful happened. The photographs became conversations. Conversations became stories. Stories became healing. Women began speaking about empowerment, what it meant in their daily lives, how they were teaching safety and dignity to their children, and how naming their experiences changed their relationship to them. The project moved beyond protest and into transformation. Over time, Healing Words Project expanded beyond Mexico into a global initiative, working with women and gender-expansive voices across cultures, communities, and even conflict zones. The focus widened from witnessing violence to supporting recovery, resilience, and collective healing. It became less about documenting harm and more about restoring authorship, giving people space to reclaim their own narratives. At the heart of the project, it is an invitation. What truth is being asked? What truth is asking for a voice? What language is guiding the path forward? And what are your healing words? Participants choose their own language. They write their own mantras. They decide how they're seen. The artwork is created through consent-based collaboration, not interpretation, but through listening. I often say that a healing word is not magic. It is a practice. It is choosing again and again to speak to yourself with compassion, especially when old narratives can be so deafening. Grounded in neuroscience and positive psychology, we know that language shapes perception, perception shapes experience. When people choose intentional words and speak them aloud, especially when witnessed, something changes. Isolation softens, shame loosens, meaning forms, the internal becomes visible, and once was carried alone can be shared together. This exhibition is a retrospective, but it is also a living archive. Each piece here connects to the voice of the person in it. Their words, their stories, their truth, accessible through the QR codes you see besides the work. You are not only looking at portraits, you are meeting individual human souls. Over the years, I have worked with survivors of violence, activists, mothers, daughters, elders, and young people, learning the language of self-worth for the first time. But just as importantly, I have worked with individuals who simply just want to grow, to redefine themselves, to mark a transition, to honor healing already underway. The most profound thing I have learned in this, healing is rarely solitary. When one person speaks honestly, others recognize that in themselves. The courage of one becomes permission for many. This project exists to amplify voices that have been silenced or misrepresented. But also, it is to remind us that every person carries a story worth witnessing, including your very own. So tonight, as you walk through this space, I invite you not only to observe, but to listen to your heart, and maybe ask yourself, what words are you practicing inside your own life? What truth is waiting to be spoken for yourself? What would change if it were witnessed? Because this work has shown me again and again, when one voice heals, it echoes. Thank you.
Mi muestra les presenta a 7 diosas de distintas mitologías que les presentan una ventana a problemáticas profundamente humanas que continúan estando arraigadas a la mujer al día de hoy. Cuando vean mis cuadros, les pido que no vean la divinidad en las diosas. Les pido que vean a la muchachita que regresa de noche a su casa, agarrando las llaves como si fuera un arma para llegar a salvo. Les pido que vean a su abuela, que posiblemente hace mucho no le llaman después de que murió su abuelo. Les pido que vean a la mujer que se ve desplazada por guerras o por violencia de Estado. Pero también les pido que vean la resiliencia y vean el poder y la fuerza en cada una de ellas, porque también ustedes son un espejo hacia ellas. Les agradezco mucho por este espacio y también los invito a preguntarnos si verdaderamente estamos haciendo como sociedad lo que se debe para erradicar problemáticas que tienen 3,000 años de antigüedad y se continúan presentando hasta el día de hoy. Muchas gracias.
Después de tan emotivos, fuertes y reales mensajes, mi mensaje solamente se puede reducir en algo. El arte es amor. El arte construye puentes y el arte sana. Esa es la misión que tenemos desde la Secretaría de Cultura. Esa es la razón por la que nuestros recintos se enorgullecen en poder recibir exposiciones tan poderosas que nos permiten construir este diálogo, esta reflexión, pero sobre todo nos invitan a actuar. Gracias, embajadora. Gracias por tu valentía, Gracias por representar la voz de quienes no tienen voz. Gracias por ver en Querétaro ese espacio de diálogo y de encuentro. Gracias por hacer posible esta maravillosa exposición. También, no solo a ti, a toda la comunidad, sino esa voz de una joven artista que ahorita nos acaba de resumir absolutamente todo. ¿Qué vamos a hacer? ¿Cómo nos vamos a ver? ¿Cómo vamos a actuar en este 8M a partir de la reflexión y a partir del amor? De parte del gobernador Mauricio Curi, de parte de todo el equipo de la Secretaría de Cultura, del Museo de Arte de Querétaro, cuentan con nosotros para seguir dialogando, para seguir sanando y para seguir construyendo juntos a través del arte la paz. Que disfruten muchísimo estas exposiciones. Muchas gracias.